Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I declare the briefing session open at 6:30 p.m. The proceedings of the briefing session are electronically recorded in accordance with Council's recording and live streaming of Council meetings, Council policy, except for matters of a confidential nature. The guide in determining those matters of a confidential nature shall be in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995. Please note, briefing sessions are audio recorded and audio live streamed only in accordance with Council's policy. Recordings will also be made available on the City's website following the meeting. The official record of the meeting will be the written minutes kept in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995 and any relevant regulations. Members of the public gallery are reminded it is a requirement under the Meeting Procedures Local Law 2013 to act in a courteous and respectful manner when in the Council chamber. You are asked to show respect to anyone who is exercising their right to ask questions of the Council and/or to deliver public statements. I ask that respect extends to such people whenever they are on City premises while waiting for or having taken their opportunity to ask questions or to deliver a public statement. Under the local law, a person must not create a disturbance by interrupting or interfering with the orderly conduct of proceedings. This includes expressing approval or dissent by conversing or by any other means. Using personal electronic recording devices to record anyone or the meeting is also prohibited under the City's local law. I would also like to remind members of the public to show proper respect to the City's elected members and staff during proceedings. The next item is declarations of interest. I have before me a number of declarations of interest, and I will read those out. I have a declaration from Councillor Vinchulo on item 12.4, which is the confidential item nomination for Freeman. It's an interest that may affect impartiality because nominees are known to Councillor Vinchulo. I have a declaration of interest from Director Humphrey for item 12.9, corporate sponsorship, in that it's an interest that may affect impartiality because members of Warwick Bowling Club are known to Director Humphrey. Another declaration from Director Humphrey. This is a financial interest on item 13.21. I'll rephrase that. Item 13.2.1. That's a CEO recruitment and selection process. Financial interest because this may impact on Director Humphrey's employment arrangements. I just ask at this point if there are any other councillors or staff having any declarations of interest for any item on tonight's agenda. I'm in receipt of a declaration of interest from Councillor Hamilton Prime on item 12.9, corporate sponsorship application for Bowls Australia 2026 national events. Is an interest that may affect impartiality that members of Sorrento Bowling Club are known to Councillor Hamilton Prime. I have one other declaration of interest from Councillor Hamilton Prime for item 12.4, nomination of Freeman of the City of Joondalup. It's an interest that may affect impartiality in that the nominees are known to Councillor Hamilton Prime. Elected members and staff, are there any other declarations of interest for tonight's agenda? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you. Just for the Freeman nominations as they are, as one of the Freeman is known to me.
Declaration of impartiality?
Yes.
Yeah, if you can complete your paperwork, please. Any other elected members or staff? Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I also have a declaration of impartiality interest in relation to the item 12.9. I'll do the paperwork as well.
That's the bowling item 12.9. Yeah, corporate sponsorship application, Bowls Australia. Any other elected members or staff wishing to make a declaration? If not, we'll move on to the next item, which is deputations. There were no deputation requests received by the City, so we'll now move to public question time. There is a set of procedures relating to public question time, and I request that you follow my direction at all times. You have the opportunity to ask 2 questions, and your questions should be directed to myself as chair and asked in a polite and respectful manner. Questions asked at a briefing session must relate to a report listed on the briefing session agenda, and you're asked to state your name and address for the public record. We do maintain a register, but we have no members of the public signed on the register for tonight. Can I just ask if there are any of the members of the public in gallery wishing to ask a question? Yes, Ms. Kwok, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Michelle Kwok, 15 Crawford Ocean Reef. Good evening, Deputy Mayor, Councillors. My question related to item 12.10. I asked some questions in writing. It's relating to question 3. Could the city can advise that the 2 recently purchased fauna monitoring cameras are for city staff use only? Can the city clarify whether is that for the rangers or the environmental team, please? Thank you.
Okay, I direct the question to Acting Director Macario. Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, thank you for your question. My understanding it is the Natural Areas team that undertakes that monitoring, but we can confirm that and provide that information to you.
Thank you very much.
Do you have a second question, Ms. Kwok?
Yes, I do. And how would the city use this data? On the same question, yeah.
That's your second question.
Yes.
I'll direct that to Acting Director Macario. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. The information that we get from the fauna monitoring is used to inform our natural areas and monitor the fauna within our parks in accordance with our natural area management plans. So it's used for the ongoing management of each of our reserves.
Thank you, Ms. Kwok. As there are no other members of the public in the gallery this evening, I'll declare public question time closed and we'll move to public statement time. There's a set of procedures relating to public statement time, and I request that you follow my direction at all times. You're able to make a statement for up to 2 minutes, and your statement should be directed to myself as chair and be polite and respectful. No questions or discussion will occur at the end of your statement. Statements made at a briefing session must relate to a report listed on the briefing session agenda, and I will ask you to please come forward and state your name and address for the public record. We do maintain a register, and nobody is registered on the public register. Are there any members of the public in the gallery wishing to make a public statement this evening? Ms. Kwok, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Councillors. Michelle Kwok, 15 Crawford Ocean Reef. I'll just put this statement together outside at home. So on page 23 of the agenda, the investment and treatment framework outlines the key success indicators to measure impact, including increased local employment, business growth, high-value job creation, and innovation ecosystem development. And then I was reading the 12.14 and 12.15 tender for mattress collection process services, and the tender for traffic management and control services. These contracts are over 3 years, about 5 years long, and none of these tenders are actually local business to the city. By locking in a 5-year contract, it reduces chance of local business to actually have a chance to be able to provide services to the city. We would like to see the city place more emphasis in supporting local businesses during these processes, so to grow the local economy. Thank you.
Thank you for your statement, Ms. Kwok. As there are no other members of the public in the gallery, I will declare public statement time closed. We now move on to item 7, apologies and leave of absence. We have tonight an apology from Mayor Jacob, and we also have Councillor Kingston, Councillor Hudson and Councillor Raftis on approved leaves of absence. Are there any elected members requesting leaves of absence this evening? Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Yes, I'd like leave of absence from the 21st of August to the 25th of August inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other elected members? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you. Could I request from the 1st to the 6th of September?
Thank you. Any further requests? Thank you. If not, we'll move on. Next item is confirmation of minutes. This item will be dealt with at the ordinary council meeting to be held on Tuesday, 26th of August, 2025. Next item 9, announcements by the presiding member without discussion. This item will also be dealt with at the ordinary council meeting to be held on Tuesday, 26th of August, 2025. Now move on to item 10, which is the identification of matters for which the meeting may be closed to the public. The following items may be dealt with behind closed doors if there are any questions on the confidential items. So we have 2 confidential reports tonight. Item 12.3 is a confidential report on the status of legal actions report, and item 12.4 is a confidential item on the nominations for the Freeman of the City of Joondalup. We also have on tonight's agenda 3 reports with confidential attachments. So elected members, I will ask as usual if you wish to raise any questions on any of the attachments within these 3 items. That's item 12.14, tender 010/25, mattress collection and processing services, being confidential attachment 12.14.3. Item 12.15, tender 015/25, provision of traffic management and control services, that being confidential attachment 12.15.3. And item 12.16, invitation to join panel of pre-qualified suppliers 007/25, supply of swimwear, fitness and associated products for Craigie Leisure Centre retail outlet. That's confidential attachment 12.16.3. Can I just ask if any elected members wish to ask any questions on any of the confidential items in those 3 reports? Thank you. I note that no responses were received in terms of addressing those confidential attachments, so we won't put them in confidential session. We'll now move on to item 11, which is petitions. The City has received 1 petition as follows. It's a petition in relation to updating Windermere Park as an off-lead dog area during times when the park is not being used for scheduled sporting or community events. Elected members, are there any other petitions received by elected members? Thank you. If not, we'll move on to the next item. Item 12, I will now move to the report section of the agenda, and I propose to go through these in sequential order. The first one being item 12.1, development and subdivision applications, June 2025. Elected members, any questions on this item? Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, Deputy Mayor. In relation to the DAs and the subdivisions, my question is, the consultation has closed for an Airbnb at 4B Boone Court in Marmion, and I was just wondering when that will be considered by the administration under delegated authority. It's not listed in the current schedule. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll direct the question to Acting Director Hussey.
Yes, thank you, through you, Mr Deputy Mayor. My understanding is that will be considered under delegated authority by the administration, and it hasn't yet been determined, obviously, at this stage, but it will be included in a subsequent report, but it will be considered under delegated authority. Thank you.
Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I was just wondering if I may be advised when that determination is made before I see it on the schedule here. Not that I can want to interfere with the process, but I just want to know, let some electors know that, or ratepayers know that it's been approved or disapproved or conditionally approved. Is that a possible, please?
Acting Director Hussey.
Yes, through you, Deputy Mayor, that's certainly something that we can inform you of, and we'd also inform anyone at that time who's made a submission in relation to that decision, and typically we would provide responses back individually to submitters as well with any responses to their concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fishwick. Any further questions from elected members on this item? If not, I have a question of my own. This relates to, on attachment number 1, attachment 12.1.1, and the North Ward, there is the second item on the list is DA 25/0150, unhosted short-term rental accommodation, change of use to Midlothian Crescent in Kinross. I note that that development application has been approved by the city. I'm mindful that there is, with council, an ongoing petition from residents or nearby residents regarding that matter. So I will direct a question to the Acting Director Hussey just to clarify where we are with regards to the petition and whether the lead petitioner has been informed regarding the status of this development application. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. I've been advised that the lead petitioner was advised by letter on the 12th of June this year, and so were all the other people who made submissions were also advised around the same time, so that there would need to be an update to the status of that petition.
Yes, do you happen to know at this point in time, Acting Director, what the status of the petition is or will be when council are informed? Thank you.
I'd have to take that question on notice. I'm not fully across it, but I am of the understanding that the lead petitioner has been informed. So, yeah, to follow that through.
I'll slightly rephrase the question. Could I just confirm whether a report will be coming to council in relation to that petition? I am guessing not, but do you have an answer for that one? Thank you.
I would say not as well, because the matter would be completed and closed off, so I would say not. Thank you.
Thank you. Elected members, any other questions on this item? If not, we'll move to item 12.2, the Investment Attraction Framework. We are going to have a presentation, I believe, from Mr. Wilcock.
Thank you very much, and through yourself, Deputy Mayor. Good evening all, and I'm just pleased to present to you all tonight the Investment Attraction Framework that will help shape the future of investment in the City of Joondalup. This framework has been developed to help us attract and assess strategic high-value investment in a structured and evidence-based way. It's about supporting investment that'll create more high-value jobs and making Joondalup an even better place to live, work and visit. Through this framework, the city will be able to confidently engage with targeted sectors, proactively reach out to investors and facilitate investment that supports business retention, expansion and infrastructure development. It will guide us in planning ahead, offer the right incentives and remove obstacles that may stand in the way of investment. In short, it positions Joondalup as a city that's ready and responsive to opportunity. We're already seeking investment from government and the private sector through our advocacy work and activities, including events like the upcoming Business Forum on Thursday morning. The Investment Attraction Framework takes us further. It will support us to prepare investment prospectuses that are targeted, strategic and aligned with the opportunities that we have available. Much like our advocacy framework, which has shaped our advocacy positions and resulted in great outcomes for the city, this new framework will provide clear guidance on what the city is seeking and what we're offering. It will help the market understand how we will respond to opportunities and what investors can expect from us. Following endorsement of the Investment Attraction Framework, the user-friendly summary at Attachment 1 to this report will be developed and designed to guide and accompany the city's investment prospectuses, making it easier for stakeholders to engage with and understand our investment approach. This is a significant step forward for Joondalup. It's about being proactive, strategic and ambitious to bring high-value investment into our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilcock. Elected members, do we have any questions on this item? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I was just curious as to something you said there in terms of removing obstacles. I'm just curious if you could give an example of removing an obstacle. What does that entail?
Mr. Wilcock.
Thank you, and through yourself, Deputy Mayor. The Investment Attraction Framework identifies that when an investment is identified as something that's required, that is able to provide a level of support, that the measures that the council will have available to them would be to control or advocate or monitor. So If it is identified as something that we wanted to control, for example, we saw a development that we wanted to support, then it may be that there are some planning rules, for example, that may be something that a level of flexibility sought to be provided. That might be brought forward to council, and then council might decide, let's change that, thereby removing an obstacle for that investment to occur into the city. So that's an example. That would be a planning example, but that could be over a range of other things. There could also be infrastructure. An investment might come forward and they might say, well, if a piece of road infrastructure was slightly different, an investment could occur, and then we would again bring that to council and say, well, we could make that amendment, and that would remove that obstacle for that investment to actually go ahead.
Councillor O'Neill?
Thank you. So in the instance of that you just gave, would that mean looking at it with more of a biased opinion towards the investor, or still looking at it as what's good for the community overall? I'm just curious.
Mr Wilcock?
Through the Deputy Mayor, and thank you very much for that question, and I think that goes to the heart of the investment attraction framework. The investment attraction framework is backed by a multi-criteria analysis. So the multi-criteria analysis identifies that what we would do is we would assess it against a range of criteria, and that includes everything from economic benefit, social benefit, community support, the planning principles, strategic alignment. So there'll be no bias whatsoever. So this framework allows the removal of bias and allows for a criteria to be assessed, and then a scoring process comes through, and then we're able to advise where that would sit in terms of the criteria analysis, and there are weightings against those which are being put forward in the investment attraction framework.
Councillor O'Neill?
Thank you. Just one more. I'm just curious as to the differences that, from what I've read there. The city already engages with investors, correct? And how does this, in a sense, free up the arms of the city to pursue this better?
Mr Wilcock?
Yes, through the Deputy Mayor, and thanks again for that question. I wouldn't say necessarily frees up the arms. What it does is it allows the investor to be very clear about how we will work with them and assess their investment. At the moment, we're dealing with it. We have advocacy framework and we know what our priorities are there. But if an investor were to come to the city at the moment, and we are talking with them, we are not assessing it against any particular criteria. We're working through what their issues are. We're working through what the city's key objectives are by going through a lot of our planning principles and documents, our highest level strategic community plans, and we're making an assessment at an ad hoc basis. What this will allow us to do, and it'll allow these investors to understand that if I bring something to the city which brings economic benefit, it's going to bring social benefit, community support, all of those things, then that is going to be assessed, and the city is very clear about that to the investor. So what it does is then enables the discussions to move quite quickly to what actually is the proposal of your investment, and is that investment actually something that's good for the city, as opposed to them trying to guess whether or not what their investment would be supported or not. So it provides them with a clear guidance, and it provides the city with an ability to be able to go out in a very positive way and a very proactive way to be saying, this is how we're going to assess, and we're going to look at your investments and how we're going to assess your investments against the multi-criteria analysis.
Thank you, Councillor O'Neill. Any further? Councillor Chester.
Yes, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Does the framework at all establish a specific role for state and federal governments in the framework?
Mr Wilcock.
Thank you very much. Through the Deputy Mayor, thank you for that question. So the framework itself is our framework, so it enables the city to assess this against our own criteria. It's what's important to us, it's what's important to our community. So that's the first thing I would comment. But the way the framework has been designed is in line with the state government, and in particular it's in line with the federal government's Infrastructure Australia guidelines, so that should we then feel that that investment is something that maybe provides regional benefits beyond the city, or it's something that we think we should get support from the state or the federal, what we'll then be able to do is take the assessment we've already done, put that into, say, a grant program, or put that into some advocacy to the state and the federal government and say, this ticks all of these boxes, and they're the boxes you've identified, state and federal government as well. So it enables us to advocate very strongly for investment attraction and support for that investment attraction with the state and the federal government. So I'm not sure whether that's what you're referring to or whether who owns the framework. The framework is ours. It is our criteria and we decide whether or not we would want to support it or not.
Councillor
Thank
Chester.
you for that clarity.
Councillor Chester. Any other elected members? Councillor Vinciulo.
Thank you. Through you. Just a quick one for me. I just want a bit more clarity on how the framework specifically attracts or incentivises marquee tenants from the private sector.
Mr Wilcock.
Thank you, through the Deputy Mayor, and thanks for that question. So this maybe goes a little bit to the heart of an earlier question about the first thing it does is sends a signal to the market that we're going to be very clear about an investment. If an investor is out there thinking, am I going to, what are the merits under which my investment's going to be assessed? That is a question that investors genuinely ask. Am I going to put this effort in, put an investment towards a local government area, but I don't know if it's going to be supported or not? The first thing this does is says to those investors, you can run this assessment yourself at a very high level, or talk to us and we can talk to you at a very high level, and you'll know very quickly whether or not your type of investment is the sort of investment the city is looking for. So that's very attractive to investors. They don't need to waste time. So they're going to be very attracted to the idea that someone has already been through those thoughts. They can put that into their models very, very quickly. The second thing this investment attraction framework allows us to do is, like the advocacy framework allowed us to do, which the advocacy framework allowed us to produce advocacy priorities. We weren't able to really enunciate those until we knew what the framework was, and that enables us to be very successful. This framework will then enable us to say, identify what our investment priorities are, and then produce investment prospectuses, and it's that which will follow very shortly behind this, will be the investment prospectuses, which will be our proactive activity, which will go out to the market and say, we are seeking investment. For example, in our city centre, we are seeking investment in commercial activity in our city centre, and that investment prospectus will then be based on the fact of, we're looking for something that brings economic benefit, has financial sustainability, social, and those criteria in the framework. So I hope that helps address your question, Councillor.
Councillor Vinciulo.
Thank you. Just a follow-up. Has there been any outside research and feedback from private or government sector that's assisted in the framework's development?
Mr Wilcock.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thanks for that question. So we did engage an economic development practitioner to assist us in the preparation of the framework. That practitioner, parts of the framework, as I said, are based on Infrastructure Australia assessments, so that's what Infrastructure Australia say is good investment. But also the Economic Development of Australia has a monitoring and process tool that we've adopted into this framework. So we're adopting a nationwide tool that says this is what good investment looks like when measured. So there's a national measuring process that's gone on in terms of these investments return great jobs, great investment into the area, and this is how you should measure those things. Obviously, the types of investments we would look at would be different to, say, a regional area or different to an outer suburban area, but the questions being asked through there and the monitoring of those has been brought into this. So yeah, we've absolutely sought both local economic development expertise and based it against and judged it against and measured it against national criteria.
Councillor Vinciulo. Any other elected members wishing to ask questions on this item? If not, the next two items are confidential in nature, so we'll move to item 12.5, Status of Council Decisions, August 2025. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move to item 12.6, Minutes of Regional Council Meetings. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 12.7, Corporate Business Plan 2024 to 28, Quarter 4 Report. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 12.8, Coastal Hazard Risk Management and Adaptation Plan, Community and Stakeholder Engagement Strategy. We have a presentation by Acting Director Macario.
Thank you. Mr Deputy Mayor and Councillors, the purpose of this report is to present to Council with the proposed Coastal Hazard Risk Management and Adaptation Plan, or CHARMAP, Community and Stakeholder Engagement Strategy. The draft CHARMAP community consultation outcomes were presented to Council at the meeting held on 12th of December 2023, where Council resolved in part to develop a community and stakeholder engagement strategy, whereby the community is regularly updated and consulted in the development of the draft CHARMAP. At the September 2024 meeting, Council endorsed the terms of reference for the establishment of a CHARMAP community reference group. The City has developed a CHARMAP community and stakeholder engagement strategy with input from the CHARMAP Community Reference Group and CHARMAP Technical Steering Group. The CHARMAP Community and Stakeholder Engagement Strategy outlines the methods, key messages and timeframes for engaging with the community and stakeholders during the development of the new CHARMAP and the release for community consultation. The CHARMAP Community and Stakeholder Engagement Strategy will guide meaningful community engagement activities throughout the development of the new draft CHARMAP. It will identify stakeholders to be engaged over the life of the project and ensure community engagement is fit for purpose in alignment with the project phases. The engagement strategy proposes that the community will be engaged throughout the project, and this includes differing levels of engagement depending on the project, phases and timeline. The total estimated cost for implementing the proposed community and stakeholder engagement process is $233,000 over a 3-year period, and this would be subject to annual budget approval processes. The City has not yet budgeted for community and stakeholder engagement costs in 25-26, as this required input from the CHARMAP Community Reference Group and technical steering groups to determine the preferred level and types of engagement activities that would be implemented. If Council approves the CHARMAP Community and Stakeholder Engagement Strategy, costs of $55,600 will be required to be allocated in the 2025-26 mid-year budget review. The CHARMAP Community and Stakeholder Engagement Strategy will provide community members and stakeholders with multiple opportunities to be engaged throughout the CHARMAP process and will ensure high levels of community input into the coastal hazard risk management process. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Director Macario. Elected members, any questions on this item? Councillor Chester.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking at page 51 of the report. I'm just curious about the funding, why it has increased from the initial year, the one we're in at the moment, 55 to 75, and yet the outcomes that we're trying to achieve are identical, but the 26-27 year is $20,000 extra. That must be more than the CPI, I expect.
Acting Director Macario.
Thank you, through you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Chester. The increased cost is due to just the timing. So we've already lost 6 months of this year, so we would only have 6 months worth of implementation, whereas in 26-27 we'll be planning on a full year of implementation of the strategy.
Thank you, Councillor Chester. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. My question is actually in relation to where are the funds being drawn from if it is approved?
Acting Director Macario.
Thank you, through you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Thank you for the question. It would be up to Council's discretion to provide those funds through the mid-year budget review. There isn't a specific fund for this project, so it would come from municipal funds.
Councillor O'Neill, anything further? Elected members, any other questions on this item? I'll just ask one myself, if I may, to Acting Director Macario. Just appreciate, for the benefit of Council, if you could give some feedback on the value of contributions to the process from the community members, in particular of the Strategic Community Reference Group. Has that met with your expectations? Thank you.
Thank you, through Mr Deputy Mayor, and thank you for the question. Yes, the Community Reference Group has been instrumental in putting together the engagement strategy. We held a session with the group just based on this particular project and asked for input into the development of the strategy. All of the feedback from the reference group has been incorporated into the draft strategy, which was then circulated to the members for comment prior to it coming to council this evening.
Thank you, Acting Director Macario. Acting members, any further questions on this item? If not, we'll move to item 12.9, Corporate Sponsorship Application, Bowls Australia Limited 2026 Nationals Event. Acting members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move to item 12.10, List of payments made during the month of June 2025. Elected members, any questions on this item? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Just one in relation to a response that was received from the city when asked at the Audit and Risk meeting in relation to the Shutterstock payments that were made for $13,115.01. I'm just requesting further information into that, as I did originally ask what was the time frame for this fee and what is actually extracted from Shutterstock for the cost of this $13,000. So I will ask again, could it be included in the pack for is it a monthly cost, is it a yearly cost, and a breakdown of approximately what we are getting? Like, are we getting 4,000 photos? Are we getting 2,000 photos for this $13,000 each time this transaction comes up? Thank you.
Director Humphrey.
Through you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Firstly, apologies for not providing the detailed information in response to the Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes. We'll take on board and provide that. My initial understanding, though, is it is an annual subscription, but I'll provide the stats on the number of photos and the benefits the city receives.
Thank you. Any other elected members asking questions on this item? If not, we'll move to item 12.11, the Financial Activity Statement for June 2025, subject to end-of-year finalisation. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 12.12, Card Transactions for the month of June 2025. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move to item 12.13, Adopted Budget 2025-26 Budget Document Corrections. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 12.14, and just as a reminder, these next three items are the ones with the confidential attachments. So 12.14, Tender 0010/25, Mattress Collection and Processing Services. Elected members, any questions on this item? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Just in relation to it, if this tender is not adopted, what's the impact for the ratepayers and residents in terms of mattress collection? Do we have time to seek a new tender? Could you give me some information in relation to that, please?
Director Clarkson.
Through you, Mr Deputy Mayor, and thank you for the question. The city would not be able to continue with the service. I'm not sure if we were able to enter into a short-term contract. But this was publicly advertised, and that's the response we got. So it was statewide public advertising for the services, so there was ample opportunity for people to put in for that.
Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you. And just with the contract, if it's not adopted by council, is there a way that the city could continue with a month by month, until something further is found, or is there opportunity for the city to renegotiate to a shorter term contract?
Director Humphrey.
Through Mr Deputy Mayor, In order to have a shorter term, we would have to re-advertise the tender. In the event that council rejected all tenders, we would likely be able to put a contract in place for the intervening period, subject to the contractor accepting. So whilst we could offer, there's no guarantee that they will accept. And with regards to offering it at a shorter term, again, we can advertise, but we can't guarantee that people will submit tenders.
Any other elected members wishing to ask questions on this item? If not, we'll move to 12.15, Tender 015/25, Provision of Traffic Management and Control Services. Any elected members wishing to ask questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 12.16, Invitation to join panel of pre-qualified suppliers 007/25, supply of swimwear, fitness and associated products for Craigie Leisure Centre retail outlets. Elected members, any questions on this item? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. Just in relation to the pre-qualified suppliers, are these currently suppliers, and how does making them pre-qualified suppliers lock us in terms of sourcing better or more efficient procurement of the same things?
Director Humphrey.
Through Mr Deputy Mayor, I believe that the panel members that we're recommending are current suppliers to the city. The benefit of having a panel of pre-qualified suppliers is that if we get close to the tender thresholds, which are close to $250,000, we've already advertised the opportunity to businesses statewide and allowed them the opportunity to submit their prices and what they would envisage that the supply cost would be. So without that, what we have to be very careful of is we don't exceed the tender thresholds. Otherwise, the supply, we simply won't be able to buy those goods. So that's the purpose of doing it, is to give the business unit providing these services surety that they can continue to buy those goods at the agreed price. It does also provide the suppliers a chance to offer their best price up front, and we can lock that in for the duration of the contract.
Councillor O'Neill, thank you. Any other elected members wishing to ask questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 12.17, the City of Joondalup Bike Plan 2025 to 2035. We have a presentation from Director Claassen.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider and endorse the City of Joondalup Bike Plan 2025-2035, aptly named Plan 2035. The plan was developed to build on the substantial progress that has been achieved and the insights that we have gained over the lifetime of the previous two plans. Purpose of Plan 2035 is to provide a long-term vision, strategic framework and projects that will make bike riding a part of everyday life for the community, where journeys can be made through safe and connected streets and paths. The plan builds on the previous vision for the city to be recognised as a bike-friendly city, where riding a bike is considered an easy and convenient way to get around, part of normal, everyday, healthy lifestyle, and where all types of and abilities of riders are catered for. The plan was developed in alignment with the Department of Transport's long-term cycle network, which establishes a strategic framework for future progress and includes both infrastructure and non-infrastructure projects. Plan 2035 will provide a clear pathway to enhance community participation, strengthen partnerships and deliver targeted infrastructure that support a more connected, active and sustainable future for all residents. Its adoption will reaffirm the city's commitment to delivering a healthier, safer and more livable urban environment. The plan's projects have been developed through extensive stakeholder engagement aligned with the city's strategic community plan, Joondalup 2032, as well as relevant state and federal planning frameworks such as the Department of Transport's long-term cycle network. The city's bike network forms part of a broader cycling infrastructure across the Perth metropolitan area, ensuring seamless connectivity between local bike routes, the wider Perth bicycle network, public transport hubs and regional destinations. Plan 2035 also emphasises the importance of collaboration with neighbouring local governments, state departments and other stakeholders. Building strong partnerships is seen as essential to enhancing connectivity, promoting cycling and delivering improved outcomes for all path users. Happy to take questions.
Thank you, Director Carson. Elected members, any questions on this item? Councillor Chester.
Yes, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I just want to compliment the city in implementing the bike plan for the last 10 years. And I'm wondering if the director could possibly give me an indication of whether the next 10 years will be as innovative and as exciting as the last 10. Thank you.
Director Carson.
Through you, Mr Deputy Mayor, the city is excited to actually being able to implement the plan when adopted by council and looking forward to another hopefully fruitful 10 years.
Elected members, Councillor Chester, anything further? Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 13.1.1. Proposed percent for art local planning policy consideration following advertising. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move to item 13.1.2, proposed amendments to the private community purposes zone local planning policy, consideration following advertising. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 13.1.3, review of business continuity council policy. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 13.1.4, new privacy council policy. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 13.1.5, review of the purchasing council policy. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 13.1.6, gambling on city-owned or managed property council policy. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 13.1.7, notification of Public Works Council policy. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 13.2.1, Chief Executive Officer recruitment and selection process. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll move on to item 13.3.1, internal audit function. Elected members, any questions on this item? If not, we'll proceed to the two confidential items on tonight's agenda. Could I request that governance ensures that we have the appropriate people remaining in the chamber? Thank you. Chamber. Thank you. Thank you. We're now back in public session and the audio recording should be continuing. The next item on the agenda is item 13, reports of committees. Mr. CEO, any further reports from committees?
Thank you, Presiding Member. At this stage, I can advise that the following major projects and Finance Committee report is to be brought to the Council at its meeting of Tuesday, 26th of August 2025 for consideration, and that is confidential status update, Project Axiom.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. The next item is item 14, reports of the Chief Executive Officer. Mr. CEO, are there any reports from the Chief Executive Officer?
Thank you again, Presiding Member. At this stage, I can advise that the following report is to be brought to the Council for consideration at its next meeting on the Tuesday, 26th of August 2025, which is confidential, Tender 00625, Enterprise Business Platform, Project Management and Implementation.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. The next item is 15, urgent business. This item will be dealt with at the ordinary council meeting to be held on Tuesday, 26th of August, 2025. Next item is 16, motions of which previous notice has been given. Are there any elected members who wish to flag their intent to raise a notice of motion for the next council meeting? We therefore move on to item 17, announcement of notices of motion for the next meeting. This item will be dealt with at the ordinary council meeting to be held on Tuesday, 26th of August, 2025. That concludes tonight's briefing session. I hereby close the meeting at 7:23 p.m. Thank you and good evening.